Noisy girls, Miss Stephanie, and we are going to read one of my favorite stories. It's called Mr. Noisy. And we're going to use a Connection Story Lab card. And this Connection Story Lab card basically tells you to think of something that you can make a connection with in this book. I know I have someone noisy in my house sometimes. My little boy. And so he's my connection. When I read the story Mr. Noisy, I think about him being sometimes very noisy. So let's get started. This story is called Mr. Noisy. Thank you, Mr. Bear, for helping me. Mr. Noisy, written by Roseanne Williams. And here he is. Mr. Noisy. He has a red bow tie. Can you find him? There he is. Mr. Noisy made noise when he walked. Mr. Noisy made noise when he talked. That's some rhyming words right there. Walked and talked. Mr. Noisy made noise when he danced. Mr. Noisy made noise when he sang. La 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 la. Mr. Noisy made noise when he drove his car. Mr. Noisy made noise when he rode his bike. Ring ring, honk honk. It is too noisy, everybody yelled. Quiet, please, said the lady. Mr. Noisy walked quietly. Mr. Noisy talked quietly. Mr. Noisy danced quietly. Mr. Noisy sang quietly. Mr. Noisy even drove his car quietly. He didn't make any noise when he drove his car. What's he using? Balloons to pick his car up gently off the road so he doesn't make noise. Mr. Noisy rode his bike quietly with special tires that don't make noise. It's too quiet, everybody yelled. Where is Mr. Noisy? Do you think they miss Mr. Noisy? It's so quiet. Here I am! Here I am! Mr. Noisy came back with a big brass band. The end. Bye-bye.